My origin story of you. This is so up. I'm going to say it anyway. I was like a real child of Vine, not in the creative sense, but like I really thought Vine was the shit. And so I'd watch all these Vines starring like whomever. And there was always like a dude 20 years older than everybody in the Vines with like the best head of hair. You have the greatest hair of any middle-aged person. It's crazy. Like the hairline on this guy is nuts. And you're always funny, but I was always just like, what the fuck is the deal? Like there's all these like 19-year-olds and then there's this like 40-year-old guy. Yeah. Like I think also like I think mainly it wasn't that you were old. You just looked terrible for 19. Like everyone else was 19 and it was like, who is this? How old is this? This is the most tired looking 19-year-old.
Today's podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/allgoodthings. It's also brought to you by Blue Chew. Use promo code GOODTHINGS and get your first month free. And it's also brought to you by Manscaped. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/Nash. Thank you to all the sponsors. Enjoy the episode. Guys, what's up? Welcome to the podcast. Hello. Welcome back to All Good Things. I'm your host, Jason Nash. My guest today is, I can't even believe he's here. He's a crazy singer-songwriter, so talented. Has won 8 Grammys, including Producer of the Year, Non-Classical, Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Engineered Album. He's also nominated for Best New Artist for his solo work. And he's also won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and a Grammy for his work on the song No Time to Die. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Hall joining us.
Hi, Jason. That's funny.
That was my big intro.
That's good.
Finneas, everybody. Finneas is here.
How are you?
This is insane.
Thanks for asking me to be on it. All Good Things, a really good podcast.
Sorry, that's a creditor.
It's the IRS. That's a really good name for a podcast.
It is good. We sat for months and we sat there and we sent it out to people. And this was the one that kept coming back because I guess people like positive stuff.
Yeah, it's good. How many episodes have you done of this podcast?
This is, I think, 50.
I bet 14. The first 7, you were like, guest lineup is crazy. And then like number 8, you were like, this is hard. Like, and you know a lot of people, but I feel like the guest format podcast is hard.
We had to start in April, and we didn't post until July. So we were stacking.
So you're banking?
We flew to St. Louis to do Nikki Glaser. We flew to New York.
Oh, wow. You're really like boots on the ground. Like, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
That's smart of you, I think.
I would have come to you today, too.
It's okay. I'd rather be here.
Good. Yeah. Good. How are you? How's things been?
Things have been really good. The big news in my life was that I broke my collarbone like a month ago.
Oh, no.
So hard. And so it's mainly been like a recovery process from that.
How'd you do that?
I ride one of those e-bikes, like a Super 73. Oh, no. I ride around my neighborhood at light speed, and I was riding to meet a lot of friends that live in my neighborhood, and I was like I'm gonna go over there, and I was late. We were supposed to do a meeting. I was late for it, and so I was not thinking like, wow, I'm going way too fast. You know what I mean? I was just like, I gotta get there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like classic, like was like cut around a street that was busy up on the sidewalk. There was like a tree root in the sidewalk, flipped over the handlebars.
At East Los Angeles, they've got tree roots, those damn tree roots.
I mean, that is a very...
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Because the earth is shifting here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tectonic plate. Anyway, flew over the handlebars, was not wearing a helmet. So the 2 seconds I had in the air were like cover my head with my arms. And then I landed... and felt saw a flash of white light, and stood up full of adrenaline and like checked my body, and my collarbone was like that. It was like so so clearly, bro. It was tenting. They call it tenting the skin. So I called my girlfriend, who was at home, and was like, "Hey, I just broke my collarbone. I need to go to the emergency room." And so she picked me up and took me to the emergency room, and I felt so stupid the whole time. Like the whole thing felt like such an unnecessary. Yeah. I should have just driven to my friend's house. Yeah. I'd ridden the bike for fun. I'd been careless. I hadn't been wearing a helmet. Like I felt so kind of embarrassed. Yeah. And I knew obviously that like the next month and a half of my life was going to be very different suddenly. You know,
Right.
we were supposed to go to New York the next day for some event thing, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. So it was a very frustrating experience that I had only myself to blame for. So we get to the emergency room. We went to Kaiser Permanente.
Oh no.
And
That's
yeah, everyone I've said that to has said, "Oh no."
every time I've taken a friend to Kaiser Permanente.
It's not been great.
No, it's not good.
So we go to Kaiser, and it was just the closest one. Like that was, you know.
I know where it is.
Yeah. And I walk in, and I'm like, "Hi, I broke my collarbone." Like I'm doing that, you know what I mean? It's like I'm in so much pain. My whole arm is like killing me, and they're like, "Okay, like have a seat, fill out a Bible's worth of paperwork, right?
Right.
With my my arm like shaking like this."
Yeah.
And we're in the waiting room full of like people that are all suffering way worse than me. You know what I mean? That's the feeling you always have. You're in a lot of pain, and they have like the plague. Like it's terrible. Yeah, for sure. And so you feel bad. And I was sitting there like trying to like fill out this paperwork, and Claudia, my girlfriend's like, "I'll do it for you," and she grabs it, and I just went like passed out on the floor.
Oh no.
And of course, because it's an emergency room, I'm like on the floor, like lying there, and a worker comes over and goes, "You can't do that." And I was like, I also don't want to be like, you know what I mean? Like I would love to not be doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't sit up. Like I can't.
You're in
whatever.
shock.
I was in so much pain, and so they, graciously did take me into a room at that point. Something freed up, and they put me in a room, and get me on like a morphine drip, and there was so much skepticism in the emergency room of like and everyone, I had to retell the story every time anyone came in, right? And it was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "I was on a bike and I broke my collarbone." And they're like, "We'll see if it's broke." I was like, look at it. It's so broken.
It's sticking out.
And they're like, "We'll get some x-rays." And I go in to get my x-rays done. And the x-ray techs haven't been like prepped at all, which is like, again, like I don't blame anybody for this. They're in an emergency room. They're trying to make sure you don't die.
Yeah.
But I go in and the x-ray tech's like, "Put your arm above your head." And I was like, I can't move my arm at all. So they take an x-ray and they're like, "Yeah, like it's kind of broken." Like that was it was like, oh, and they kept saying fracture. Yeah. And I was like, I know that on a technicality that means the same thing, but it's such a downplay of broken. Like a fracture sounds like a hairline like something where there's like a crack, and it was like that. And so I was like, well, what's the deal? Like, am I gonna have to have surgery for this? Is this something that heals on its own? And the doctor's like, collarbones almost always heal on their own. Like, you should be totally fine. Yeah. Here's a prescription for ibuprofen.
That's it.
And I was like, okay. And and they had to cut my shirt off when I got there because I couldn't like.
Was it a good shirt?
It was actually the worst shirt it was my least favorite. I wore the shirt it was like that morning I was like, if I have to get a shirt cut off today, this one. So I wore a shirt I didn't care about by happenstance, and they cut it off. And then I'm going to leave, and I'm in the hospital gown, and they bring in a sling for me. And they go here, and they show me how to put the sling on. And so I stand up, and I'm on morphine, and I stand up, and I get my sling on, and putting the sling on makes me pass out again. So I like get the sling on and like have that like blood in your ears, like whoop, 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 whoop thing. And I like lie down and black out again. And then I get up and Claudia's like, "So you're technically dismissed, right?" And I'm like, yeah. She was there with me all day, which was very sweet of her. And she goes, "I'm going to go pull the car up so you don't have to walk all the way through the parking garage." "Thank you." And so I'm in the hospital gown, and I've got my sling on, and I'm like morphined out. So I just am sort of like careless and delirious, and and I go, "Can I leave?" And they go, "Yeah, but you're not in your hospital gown." I was like, "Okay, you cut my shirt off. Like I don't have a shirt." And they're like, "Okay, we'll go look through medical supplies for a shirt." I go, "Okay," and they're gone for like an hour and a half looking for a shirt after I'm technically like discharged, like I'm taking up a room, like somebody else should be in the room. Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, anytime anyone comes by the door, I'm like, "Hello," like doing that.
Why can't you leave in a hospital gown?
I don't know. And
it's just a bad look for the hospital. Like you've escaped. Yeah. That's maybe what it would look like.
Fair enough. And anyway, and my friend calls because I was supposed to go to like a birthday party that night, and I pick up I had like a black eye, and we learned later that I'd fractured my elbow, and I just like everything was screwed up. Yeah. So my friend calls, and I'm kind of like, I'm on so much morphine that like I don't care about anything, so I'm just like laughing about I'm like, "Look at what I did."
Guys, as you know, I'm always doing so much. I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing videos, hanging with the kids. I'm taking them to school. I'm making them dinner. I'm writing the next roast. I'm doing all these things. And sometimes I wish life came with a user manual, but unfortunately, it does not. So instead of that, what do we have? We have BetterHelp, today's sponsor on the show. Very happy that BetterHelp is here today. Thank you, guys. They're a wonderful company. I, for one, have been in therapy many times in my life, and it's really, really done wonders for me. I highly suggest if you're feeling down that you would want to maybe try therapy, and BetterHelp would be a great choice. So if you're struggling with learning coping skills, self-empowerment, or dealing with trauma, this is definitely something you can consider. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/allgoodthings. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allgoodthings. And thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Woman with like a cart comes to the door of my room.
Yeah.
And I think like she's going to put me in a wheelchair, maybe get me outside, or at least she has my shirt or whatever. Yeah. And she goes, "Do you want a flu shot while you're here?" and I was like, "Sorry?" And she was like, "Flu shot? You want a flu shot?" Yeah. Which again, it's like no one's like, there's nothing on the door that says like, this guy's got broken bones. "Flu shot while you're here?" And I was like, "No, I got a flu shot like a week and a half ago," which was true. And she goes, "Oh, okay, great. Can I write that down?" I was like, "Sure, whatever." And I go, I'm gonna go, okay? And she goes, "Not in that hospital gown, you're not." And I was like, "I don't have a shirt." And she goes, here's the shirt. And I go, "Thank you, but like I'm in the sling. Putting the sling on made me pass out. Like my girlfriend's gone to get the thing. Like no one's." I go, "Can you help me get the sling off and the gown off and the shirt on?" She goes, "No, I can't help you." She goes, "But you can't wear the hospital gown." And I was like, "So you can't?" I was like, I have this arm only, and I'll black out if I do it myself. Yeah. And you can't help me change it." She goes, "No." She goes, "But you can't leave in the hospital gown." And I was like, I go, "What are you gonna do with the hospital gown?" It's like covered in blood. Yeah. I was like, "Are you gonna sell it?" That was the other thing I probably shouldn't have been doing. All day I was trying to make all of the people at the hospital laugh, like trying to calm myself down. Yeah. And she was like getting madder and madder. Anyway,
and so you never found out why you couldn't leave in it.
Well, so here's the funny part. I go like, surely there's no reason I can't technically leave in this. Yeah. And she was like, "It's policy." And I was like, "Whose policy? Yeah. Yours?" And she was like, "No, it's like hospital policy, whatever." And the doctor who like, you know, whatever, prescribed me the ibuprofen comes over to the door. He goes, "Why are you still here?" And I was like, "They won't let me leave." I was like, "They're trying to make me put this shirt on and they won't help me." And he goes, and she's like, "He's trying to leave in the hospital gown. Like, isn't that crazy?" And he goes, "You can just leave in the hospital gown." And I go, "Thank you." And I get outside and there's two like guards, like cops outside. And they're like, "Whoa." They're, like screaming at me because I'm in the hospital gown. Which I think is like fair. Like they're probably protecting against whatever, a patient trying to leave when they're on medication. Like it's probably a good policy generally. And I'm like, "It's all right. They gave me, it's fine." So I get home. I'm telling you the longest story to start this episode. Anyway, I get home and again, like my arm feels like it's hanging off my body by muscle. Like there's no bump.
You move it at all?
Barely. No. Like it's like just sort of hanging. Yeah. Like I've had a stroke. Like I have like I can move my hand and I can't really do this at the time. And it's the weekend, which means everywhere is closed. Yeah. And so I call enough people that a physical therapist is like willing to talk to me on the phone. And then I'm describing everything to him and he goes, "You live pretty close to me. I'm going to come by and see what's up." And he comes by and he does one of those like he's like, "Ooh, that's really bad." And he's like, "I think you're going to need surgery for that." He was like, "Let me get you an appointment at Curl and Job," which I don't know any terms of anything, but now I know Curl and Job, if you can, place to go for stuff like this. Okay. So on Monday, I broke it all on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, just like at home with like my bones all broken. And he goes, "It's not healing." Like he was like the bone isn't like it has to be lined up to start to fuse. So he's like, until you until you get surgery, like you're not gonna get any better. So on Monday, I go to Curl and Job, and I'm pretty chill in situations with like doctors and stuff. Like I'm not panicky. I'm not like, am I gonna be okay? And I think that means that like doctors feel no need to have any bedside manner.
Yeah.
They're not kind of like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And so I'm at Curl and Job, and I go in to get x-rays there because Kaiser didn't give me access to my x-rays they took on Friday. I'd said like, can I have like a picture of my x-rays or like a link to whatever? And they were like, you can call medical records. And of course, medical records is closed all weekend. So it was like this whole disaster. So I'm at Curl and Job getting new x-rays done. And the x-ray tech says something along the lines of like, oh my God. Like everyone's like sci-fi movie level, like flipped out by this.
And this is 3 days later.
This is 3 days later. And they take the x-ray, which I posted on my Instagram if you want to see it.
Yeah.
And the bone is like, it's so far away from where it should be. And they're all like looking at it and they're like, it's the worst one we've ever seen. Like they're all saying like the most hyperbolic stuff. I'd be like, this can't be the worst one they've ever seen. And they're like, it is. And they're like, we have to do surgery, and you fractured your elbow. And then my self-diagnosis was that I sprained my wrist too because it hurt a lot. And so, we did surgery on Wednesday of that week. So 5 days after the injury. And then, I started the recovery process for real.
Yeah, what are they doing over at Kaiser? They were just checked out that day.
I think to play devil's advocate, and this is like the first time I've talked about the Kaiser experience publicly, it's like they're making sure
Clip this for TikTok, guys.
They're making sure you don't die. And respect.
And they have a lot of people.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And so like, respect. I think that ultimately two things. Should I have been put into surgery that night?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Like the person who took my x-ray that night should have said, oh, you should go get surgery right now.
Yeah.
It's a Friday. It's 2 p.m. I think it was like 10. It was like noon or something. Like somebody should have been like, you should go get surgery right now. Uh-huh. And they didn't. And that's whatever it is. But they're so busy. And once they could tell that like I wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
I did a CT scan. They want to make sure I didn't have any brain trauma from like hitting the ground.
Uh-huh.
And, so it was amusing to me, and it was certainly in the moment that day frustrating because I think you feel a little like gaslit by being like, it's so bad, and they're like, you're gonna be fine. But I was gonna be fine. So,
did you, when you had that white flash, did you think you died at all or anything? Did you go anywhere? Did you?
I was really like on the bike ride. I was like, like the two thoughts right before I crashed were like, this is so fun, and then I was like, this is really dangerous. I was like, I should always wear a helmet. But
have you ever had any accidents on stage? Because when you're up on stage and you perform to all those people,
right.
it's dark up there.
Yeah.
Like the guy from 21 Pilots who does backflips off.
I can't believe he's never sprained an ankle or something.
How? Like
it's
off
crazy.
The piano?
It's
and
crazy.
I've seen him do it 3 times. He does it every show.
It's really crazy. Like not once. It's really impressive.
Have you ever had an accident like that?
No, I mean, I don't do backflips off stage. I did do a solo run last fall that I had a piano that I would jump off every night.
Yeah, you would.
I would, but I wasn't doing a backflip. I was just jumping down.
Still, even that.
And
I fell off the stage doing stand-up once.
How deep into the set?
That's embarrassing.
How was it, like a full hour?
Right away.
Instantly? How much longer did you have to be on stage after you got back?
Oh, I had to do another 20 minutes. Oh my God. I've had some bad
Did you ever do anything in that set that was funnier than falling?
No, that's what I said. I said this, and how can I top that?
You can't.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so God, I have so many freaking things to ask you.
Boot it up.
All right, let's just get into it. First of all, we have a piano here today for Finneas.
Yeah, this was not.
What was your reaction when you came in and you saw the piano? Because last night Wyatt was like, "You should, you should definitely call him and let him know."
Which you didn't. I want to say that the viewer should know that I did not request this or know that it was happening. If there's any interaction with it at all, it was not premeditated by me. And also shouts out to Jason's son Wyatt for setting it up, and I appreciate Wyatt as a person,
so
and,
nice.
as a songwriter, creative.
We were
Anyway.
He has so much homework and stuff. And then last night I went over to his mom's house to get the piano. And we were driving. I said, I'll just go set it up. And he's like, you don't know how to do that. Like, you know. And I was like, he's like, no, I'll come. And then
so sweet.
We were driving over, and I just said, thank you so much, Wyatt. This is
this
so
his
nice.
Nord?
This is his Nord.
Sick.
This is a Nord that I
bought.
I bought for a YouTube video for him.
Very like to get like for a reaction video.
Well, I don't think of it as a reaction video, but it was a great reaction.
This is like this is like what I play on stage every night.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he said that. He was like,
Nord Stage 3 is like the industry standard thing, weighted keys, and it's really great. And I run. This is so heady and techy, but like
do it.
But I run like the onboard sounds, and then I also have it running MIDI through my laptop. So it's like a lot of the sounds I use on Billie's songs are triggered. But this is like you got the right one, Jason.
Yeah, we went all out. We broke the bank for it. But anyways, we were driving over, and he was so sweet. He was like, I was like, Wyatt, you have so much to do. You can't be doing this right now. And he just goes, it's Finneas, man.
That's so sweet.
Nothing else matters. And I have to tell you, one thing that you did,
you
probably don't even realize it, so amazing. Wyatt made this Holocaust song.
Oh, yeah, really good.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Yes, I love Manscaped. What a great company. 'Tis the season for clean balls. Fa la 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 la. Our friends at Manscaped are helping you clear your driveway for safe travels this holiday season. From stocking stuffers to white elephants, Manscaped's products are at the top of every wish list. Guys, you know me. I'm always traveling. I'm always on the road, and that's what I love about the Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0. It's got everything inside. One of the things I love is the Shears 2.0, which is a full nail kit. It has everything in there. It's got tweezers. It's got clippers. It even has a file to get your nails looking right, because it's important to look good. I also love the Preserve Cologne. It smells so good. It's got a very piney kind of tree scent that will last with you even when Christmas is over. So, you can go around. You can feel good. Maybe wear it around December, so you're bringing some holiday cheer wherever you go. It's important to smell nice, guys. I know maybe no one ever taught you that, but it is important to smell nice. Trust me, I've gone many places smelling lousy, and Natalie Maradueno will let me know that. In fact, there was a bad smell at David's house the other day because Jonah had made Salisbury steak, and Natalie turned to me and she goes, Jason, is that you? And I said, geez. So then I went right home and I put on my Preserve Cologne. And I hope you guys are still not using a loofah, because inside the Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is a body buffer. This thing is so nice, guys. You take it in the shower. It's just like a little brush. Gets off all the dead skin. And unlike a loofah, it does not hold all the bacteria. This thing will keep you clean, but it saves stuff. It's soft and tough at the same time, you could say. And right now, guys, save 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/Nash. That's right, 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/Nash. Manscaped, for a perfect gift that will be the holidays' biggest hit. And my thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Tommy John Underwear. Yeah, Tommy John, the most comfortable underwear out there. The only underwear I wear fall is chaos in your pants. You're overheating 1 second and freezing the next. To be ready for anything, you need underwear that can handle everything. It's time for Tommy John Underwear. Chaos in your pants. That does describe what's going on with me in the mornings before I put on my Tommy John underwear. I jump in there, and let me tell you something. Everything's in all snug and tight, and it's just very comfortable, wonderful product. Tommy John's breathable, lightweight fabric has 4 times the stretch of competing brands. They come with a no wedgie guarantee, thanks to a non-rolling waistband and legs that never ride up. Plus, they feature a horizontal quick-draw fly. With over 18 million pairs sold, people love Tommy John underwear. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. Guys, yeah, I don't have to tell you, this is a wonderful product. I have 4 pair upstairs. I wear them all the time, and they're just really well made. When you put them in the wash, they come out great. Plus, everything's backed up with Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or its free guarantee. Go to TommyJohn.com/Nash right now for 20% off your first order. 20% off at TommyJohn.com/Nash. TommyJohn.com/Nash. See site for details.
Was this during COVID, or was this like 2019?
Yeah, this was no, I think it was during COVID.
Okay.
It was during COVID. And Wyatt made this song about the Holocaust. And he was told to write a story about the Holocaust, but instead he wrote a song. Anyways, he stayed up till like 3 a.m.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and the fact that you DM'd me and said that it was good,
was really good.
That meant so much.
I meant it.
To
yeah,
him.
I wasn't like.
Did you ever have anything like that? Did you ever have somebody like reach down to you like, "Hey, you know what? You got something, kid."
I did actually, and
Ooh.
it was and it was very much like my parent that was the reason that they heard it, which is like the same as right. You know what I mean? Like he didn't send it to me. I heard it because I'd listened to you in like a podcast or something.
Right. It was in the news. Yeah.
Anyway,
because your parents were actors.
That's right. So, but we knew
are.
growing up through like a friend of a. I feel like LA is like this because your kids grow up in LA too. Like, there's this like misconception that like you're, like, my parents were first of all like actors who were auditioning. Like that was the category. Yep. So it was like most of the auditions in like once a year they'd be like, I'm a guest star on a Sweet Life episode or whatever. So it was definitely not like movie stardom. Not to say that we weren't lucky to grow up in LA, which we were, but mostly it was like my friend's dad is a set dresser for Criminal Minds. You know what I mean? It was like very kind of like the industry of it all as opposed to like a bunch of movie stars. But somebody we knew was friends with someone who was friends with someone who knew the producer Butch Vig, who did Nevermind and Siamese Dream. And
no way.
And so as a kid, like I was very starstruck because and when I say kid, like 12, like I already really wanted to make music and, you know.
And you like Nirvana.
Oh, yeah. And then at the time when I was 12, he had done the new Green Day record. And I was like, nothing was cooler to me at 12 than like whatever Green Day was doing.
Green Day was huge.
So that was really cool. But it was like, I'd get around him and I'd be very shy, you know, as a kid would. And my band, my like first band when I was 12, like would upload like terrible little YouTube videos
of us.
What was it
called? What was your band called?
We were called like Hollow Point Eyes or like the Dead Beats or something. Yeah. Anyway, we'd post like crappy original songs on YouTube, and my mom sent it to Butch Vig, and he wrote like the sweetest note back, which was like, I was mortified that he'd seen it even, you know, but it was like very encouraging that he.
Oh, and you pass it down to Wyatt.
It was very sweet of him to do.
So
well,
sweet.
Yeah, but you know. And maybe Butch Vig was just being nice. Maybe he actually thought it was terrible. But I thought Wyatt's was like quite good. Like I wouldn't have encouraged him if I thought it was horrible.
Well, no, because we didn't really know each other. We've only spoken
once.
Yeah. We spoke once at a party.
Well, my joke about you is that before today, every time I run into you, you introduce yourself to me for the first time. You like not like you don't know who I am, but you're like, "Hi, I'm Jason. Like it's nice to meet." And I'm like, "We've met like 3 times." Like it's very sweet.
Because I assume you forgot me.
I think that there's a politeness to it. I think that like I try to do that to people. I have people that try to do that. I get it. Yeah. But it is amusing to me.
Yeah, it is
I know
funny.
who you are.
Yeah, because I always assume that you're in a different world than I'm in. Not that it's better or worse, but it's like you're meeting people from the music industry and whatever, and I just wouldn't expect you to remember. But I guess you're close with Mike, and you know David, and
yep.
So you know everybody. But yeah, I really just hate myself and have low self-esteem. I think that's what it is.
My origin story of you, this is so fucked up. I'm gonna say it anyway. I was like a real child of Vine, not in the creative sense, but like I really thought Vine was the shit. Like I watched a lot of Vines.
That's right.
And so I'd watch all these Vines starring like whomever. And there was always like a dude 20 years older than everybody in the Vines with like the best head of hair. You have the greatest hair of any middle-aged person. It's crazy. Like the hairline on this guy is nuts. And like and you were always funny, but I was always just like, what the fuck is the deal? Like there's all these like 19-year-olds and then there's like 40-year-old guy. Yeah. Like and it was always like in the bit, like you're always playing characters and shit. And I was just always like, and there was just one of you. Like there was everyone else was 19 and there was you, and I remember like me and my buddy, we were like, who is that? What is the deal? Like, how do they know this guy? It was so strange, and you were so skinny in those Vines. Like the skinniest. I
was going through a divorce.
Sure, yeah, you were. All right, let's call it divorce chic. You were so skinny.
Yeah.
And so I just remember
to get back out there.
Yeah, and then like as time goes on, there's like I feel like you got more and more of a presence on YouTube, and like I kind of like put 2 and 2 together and understood it all. Became very clear that you were a sweet guy. But I think initially on Vine with no context, I was like, I think also like. I think mainly it wasn't that you were old. You just looked terrible for 19. Like everyone else was 19, and it was like, who is this? How old is this? This is the most tired-looking 19-year-old. Like, you look great for
I look
60 or whatever you are.
I look like shit.
How old are you?
I'm 49.
Okay.
But it feels like 60.
So at the time, you were probably like 35. Anyway, but they were all 18,
I was
19.
40.
40.
Around Vine. And then
Right.
41, 42. And then I was 43. I started YouTube.
40.
Isn't that a funny sentence? When I was 43.
You were always very good in them, and it was just so strange. It was like, what?
Also, probably what was weird, too, is like the big thing on Vine, the way you would get more followers is you would collab with people.
That's what I'm saying.
So then it's me with Brandon Calvillo.
This is what I'm saying.
19.
I definitely wasn't on your profile seeing you every time and being like, this is who this is.
Popping
it
up.
was like, yeah, some other 19-year-old. And then a person 15 years older.
I was like literally broke at the time. And then I was just like I had made a movie and I was like, maybe I'll get on this Vine to see if I can sell more movies. And I had my friend Brittany Furlon, who is she's just like she was really big on Vine. She was like, "Oh, I'll make some Vines with you," and then I got like all these followers. And then I started making money, and I was like, "All right, I got to do this, I guess."
I think you saw it in a way that most people who weren't growing up with it didn't see it. You saw it as like a performance outlet, and I think that like that to me is like what all of those they are. That's what they all are. TikTok.
Was you like
YouTube.
15 when you were watching me?
I was like, at Vine, 14, 15. But like, I think that if more creative like adults had understood Vine off the jump, you know what I mean? Like look at what it did for you. You know what I mean? Then that to me was you seeing it as like this, like not dismissing it. I think people were very dismissive of things like that.
People were so dismissive. All the people that were my age were like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?" And I was like, "No, I'm like," because I could see. We lived on this cul-de-sac, so it was all these kids around all the time. All the families would hang out, play soccer, or whatever, and that's all they talked about was Vine and Instagram. And did you ever put music on Vine? So I guess you can. It's 6
dude.
seconds.
I have. There's, I mean, Vine. I don't even know how you find Vine videos anymore. It's like on Twitter or something. Anyway.
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
But there's a little video of me singing Ocean Eyes. Like,
really?
Yeah, before it came out.
And so, okay, Ocean Eyes. Let's get to that.
Sure.
So that. Wait, that was the song.
Yeah,
right?
I was in a band.
That was the song that broke you.
I was 18. Broke Billy, yeah. I was 18. I was in a band that was like, mediocre at best, but we took it really seriously. We wanted to have a career in music, especially me and the drummer really did, and we both do now.
That's Martinelli, right?
Yeah, Martinelli.
Yeah, Wyatt was telling me about him last night.
And the song that we were doing was the song Ocean Eyes, and I thought it was not being done justice by like us as a band. I was like, this sounds very it had like sounded like bad Soundgarden.
Yeah,
I love Soundgarden, but it was like I wasn't really right in my voice. And Billy was 13 at the time and already had such a gorgeous voice and was sort of interested in this like in the kind of at the time which was sort of new was this kind of alt pop vibe of like production and like I'd credit like Lapsley, Oh Wonder, Aurora as these kind of like reference points for like color palette, and we were just really interested in
what does
those.
That mean, color palette?
I guess like when I think of like production, so like my band was very traditional. It was like drums, bass, guitar.
Yeah,
and the stuff that I just referenced, Lapsley, Aurora, was like very kind of like alternative sounding percussion, like drums that weren't a drum kit. They were like sounds.
Yes.
Cool synths, a lot of vocal layering, and maybe like no guitars, like on anything I just referenced, which was a cool, fun thing to experiment for me. And I was trying to learn how to produce. So I produced the song Ocean Eyes. She sang it, killed it. We put it on SoundCloud. It was the third thing we put on SoundCloud. And it really did happen. It was like one of those viral things. It was like overnight, like a blog picked it up, posted about it. I never found out. It was this blog called Hilly Dilly. I never found out how they found it.
Crazy.
And again, it was like, her profile maybe had like 200 followers or something. It was very small. And it wasn't like an overnight, like 1 million. It was overnight, like a couple thousand.
Yep.
But then it was just like exponential growth over time. It was like a couple thousand a day, 10,000.
What was that period of your life like when you're watching that go up? What do you think?
Such a relief.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a career in music so bad.
Yeah.
And I was 18 at the time, which I know is young, but I'd wanted to do it since I was 14.
Yeah.
Or actually, really, since I was about 12. But so I was 18. All my friends were graduating high school. I'd not gone to high school. I just tried to be a musician and actor all through high school.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at 18, I was like, my friends were all kind of like graduating high school. My best friend, David Marinelli, was also not going to college. So I think we had this kind of like, what are we doing? Like, was this a mistake? You know, I felt this sort of weird, like, beholdenness of like, you know, like I felt like kind of responsible.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a job?
Huh?
Did you have a job?
No, I mean, I'd made enough money from acting that like I could.
Oh, that was your job.
I could live at home.
Yep.
But pay for everything.
Yep.
I'd pay for everything except rent.
Yes.
Yeah. So like when the song started to blow up, it was like I was so like relieved. I was just like, oh my God, maybe I'll get to have a career in music. Yeah. And I was stressed out because I think like I had a lot of like not even imposter syndrome. I just like felt unqualified. I was like. Suddenly we were like meeting with labels and whatever. And, you know, they're like, what else you got? And I was like, I barely know how to produce music at all. Like I just started doing this really. So the whole first kind of year, the first EP cycle of her project was like, I just felt like so kind of like in over my head. Everything was like watching YouTube tutorials on how to do stuff. And like, it was really challenging. And we'd go, and I would say, not to discredit, I know a lot of really talented producers, musicians. But we did go in with a lot of like some of my favorite producers ever in the first like 15 months of Billie's career. Like they like it was like, who do you love most? And we'd say so and so, and they'd be like, so this was produced by this guy. Do you want to do a session with them? And that was so cool.
Like who?
We did writing sessions with Justin Parker and a producer named Robopop. They did the song "Video Games" by Lana Del Rey.
They brought you.
Everybody was very generous.
Away.
Yeah, I'd say like about a couple months in, we were getting to like go into rooms with them, and it was really. I'm very grateful to those people for being willing to like work with really young kids who had almost nothing out, which was really cool of them.
So your experience with your record label was a good one. They got it.
It was, yeah, and
I think when I think about the Billie Eilish stuff, when I remember when it came out, and I've seen you guys play probably 7 times.
Wow.
Because we were out and about at the same time.
Yeah.
You were out playing so many shows.
That's right.
You'd just pop up at like Acoustic Christmas or something.
I know, it's true.
I would see you at Coachella and just incredible. And what I remember saying about that music, what I thought, it's so incredible because no one asked for it.
It's a really good way to put it.
You know what I mean? No one said like, "Hey, let's get this like rock sound that's dark."
Right.
And it did remind me of Nirvana.
Wow.
In terms of it was like, what?
That's so cool.
Like what is this? Because I remember I was in college when Nirvana came out and Nevermind came out, and we all literally all stood around and we were like, what the fuck?
So cool.
Like this is and I felt the same way when I heard, and a lot of that has to do with the maturity of like her voice.
She's got such a crazy instrument. Yeah, her voice is crazy. And to put a button on the doing sessions with other people, like we did write, I think with Justin and Robopop, I don't think we wrote like anything, but like with a lot of those guys we did write songs, but it became one of those things where our favorite stuff was always the stuff that we were just making at home.
Yeah.
So that was a good self-esteem booster. It was like, wow, we went and wrote a song with like our hero, and it's good, but the one we like even more is the one we wrote at home.
Yeah, and that room was made famous in the doc,
yeah,
the R.J. Cutler
little
doc,
tiny bedroom. Yeah.
I mean, what did you think of the doc?
Well, that's funny.
Okay, let me say, as a viewer, we watched it. It's one of the best rock docs I've ever seen.
Thanks.
It's so good. I mean, what did you think?
Well, I remember RJ. I remember meeting RJ for the first time in like the fall of 2018. The doc came out beginning of 2021, and in 2018 it was like RJ was at our house. Justin, the head of Darkroom, which is where the imprint Billy signed to, was like saying stuff that at the time we're like, all right, shut up, Justin. Like he was like, she's gonna be one of the biggest artists of all time. Like saying stuff like that, and we were like, shut up. Like that's so like, who knows, you know? And I think you have this feeling of like, I've had this feeling a couple times. I'm just super lucky in this sense where people bet on me, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, you know what I mean? Like the most recent example is like I scored a couple movies, and like the people that are like, you can do this, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I've never done it, and they're like, no, I know you can do it. I'm like, how do you know if I don't know? You know? Yeah. And the doc felt that way too. Of like, we're gonna make a documentary about you guys. We're gonna devote, you know, a camera woman and a boom guy to you for a couple years. Yeah. And you're like, word? Like, you think like we're worth following around for a couple years? And the first period of time was like pretty mortifying, just because you're self-conscious about everything in your messy room, and you're arguing with your family and the way families do. And it's crazy how, I mean, you're in the YouTube space, so you're familiar with documenting your life.
Put yourself out there like that, and it's
almost immediately forget that you're being filmed. Like it's crazy how quickly you're just like forgetting there's a glass wall and people watching. So yeah, I mean, I remember when like a couple years had gone by and they really caught everything, and I remember like there's a couple moments, and they're in the doc, like I remember Coachella weekend 1 of 2019. We had a lot of technical difficulties. Our stage was kind of a disaster. Yeah. We had Vince Staples come out and sing with us. His mic wasn't on.
I was there.
Yeah, we went on like 45 or 50 minutes late because the stage wasn't like able to be built. It was crazy.
I remember I was unable to get to it.
Yeah,
that's how crazy it was.
It was crazy, and so because we went on so late, we were playing during the headliner. We were playing like Wall Tame Impala was playing, which was like, you know, you're like, oh my God, like who wants to see us instead of Tame Impala? It's like the feeling in your own head. And anyway, I remember like Billie and I feeling so defeated and walking through like the hotel hall after the thing, and there's like a camera right behind us. And I remember thinking like, God, I hope this is halfway through the doc. Like I remember thinking like, this better not be the end of the doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that I feel in summation about the doc was like, because I've seen it once. I saw a couple cuts before the final cut.
Yeah.
And that was about all I could take. But it's not spun, which I think is really cool. I think, unfortunately, you grow up and realize that most great, like, art docs that you've ever seen, film, music, they have a pretty contrived narrative ultimately. I wish that wasn't true, but there's a lot of like, oh, this is a setup. This is like they put everybody in this room and they made them talk about this thing and cry. Like, and because a lot of our doc was like GoPros. Like we had GoPros in the studio, so there didn't have to always be a Jenna, the camera operator, or like we just like, my mom was really great about like just putting an iPhone filming in the corner of like the kitchen while we all talked.
There's a great scene in the doc where the camera's mostly on you and you're just standing in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then an argument, not an argument, but a discussion ensues.
But that stuff was like so like when I remember watching the cut, I remember being like, oh my God, like I had so little awareness that we were filming at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that's like a testament to the fact that like that doc is very accurate to the way that life felt for those couple of years.
Yeah, it's really tough. One of my favorite moments is you look at the camera and you go, the record company wants me to write a hit, but Billie doesn't want me to write a hit. So I have to write a hit and not let Billie know I'm writing a hit. It's so good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like a lyric in itself.
That was a stressful period.
And you don't know how to write a hit.
Nobody knows how to write a hit.
Right?
That's the craziest part. Nobody knows. Like you know how to write a song that's sort of formulaic and has like a catchy part, but nobody knows how to make a hit.
Yeah, you really took
nothing feels weird. Nothing feels worse, and everybody's done it. Nothing feels worse than putting out something where you're like, if this isn't a hit, then what is it? You know what I mean? Like where you, And I think that that's like, we try to always not do that at this point in time, where we try to, like, it has to be substantive enough that like we just love it. And then if it is popular, it's popular, but it's not like I think we're in a period of time, this is my observation of pop music anyway, where like we're in a period of time where like, I think TikTok is to thank for a lot of this, that like most of the stuff that's a big hit was made with fairly pure intent. I think there was like a couple years ago, there was a lot of like, you guys were just trying to make hits. And like, I don't know that this is even very artistic, but it's a hit.
Right.
You know, like I
think people can sniff that out
now. And I think that the stuff that's blowing up is like weirder and weirder, because I was just having this conversation with Benny Blanco, actually, because we were watching Marvin Gaye videos on YouTube. We were talking about how incredible Marvin Gaye was. And I was like, let's talk about gatekeeping. I was like, Marvin Gaye exists, and somebody, and I know nothing about this, so some aficionado of Marvin Gaye's careers can correct all this, which is fine, but use Marvin Gaye as an example, but anyone in that era. Marvin Gaye is incredibly talented. There's probably 9 other guys almost as talented as Marvin Gaye. The label's like, we're giving Marvin a contract, not the other 9. Only him. We're putting Marvin Gaye in a room with the greatest band we can assemble in the nation and the greatest producer. And we're, you know, either Marvin's writing the song or co-writing the song, or it's being given to them or whatever, if it's not Marvin. We're A&Ring it so meticulously. We're getting the best song we can possibly get, sung by the best singer, played by the best band. And then we're going to put it out, and it's expensive to make vinyl for a label. And so we're going to really focus on this one. We're going to really push it to radio. Quality control back then was so gatekept by big music, so to speak, because it was like, how, you know, all the stuff that I talk about that Wyatt is the beneficiary of, like all the sort of self-release, self-promotion stuff, like it didn't exist. Yeah. You couldn't, like, it would be ludicrous to try to go to a studio and try to press your own record and try to self-distribute. Like, you needed the big machine. And so it was like the music that came out and the music we look back on, pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, pretty hyper controlled. And now, but also harder to break into. And now we're in this period of time where it's like anyone can make anything on their own laptop and post it immediately. And if it blows up instantly without the help of almost anyone. And then the industry kind of plays catch up. And so it's like, it's led to like more music and less polished music and more unconventional music, which I think is like all a good thing.
Right.
But it also means that sometimes something blows up that's like kind of bad, but like has some great thing, some nugget of like just a really, really great, exciting, you know, element to it. And it blows up even though it's very unfinished and the mix is not very good and it wasn't even mastered. And, you know what I mean? And like, I'm pro all of that, but it is interesting to think about, like,
and that's what we get on TikTok. We get that 10 seconds.
100%.
Have you ever been listening to a song and you're like 2 minutes in and then you hear the TikTok part and you're like, oh fuck, that's from TikTok.
Oh, I see it at shows.
Like, oh my God, my pussy's on fire, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, light my pussy on fire, whatever.
Explain. What song is this?
I don't know. It's usually some hook that's insane. You know, I'm old, but it is something.
Light my pussy on fire?
Yeah, it's something like the other day, my 13-year-old, she was like, do you want to hear Drake and 21 Savage's new album?
Oh my God.
And I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
She puts it on. The song's Pussy in Millions. That's the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know it?
Yeah, of course.
I was like, what?
It's a really good album.
What's going on?
The 21 Savage is incredible.
Yeah, he is. I don't really know him. I just said that.
Yeah, I see it at shows a lot, or I see it at festivals. Like the artist is playing the song, and you go, "Oh yeah, I recognize this," and they get to like verse 2, line 1, and the audience is like, and they sing it as loud as possible, and then the next 2 lines, and they're kind of like tuning out. I've seen some artists like fuck with the audience because of it too.
Right.
I feel like Steve Lacy. I've seen some videos going around of Steve Lacy with that awesome Bad Habit song. Oh, like, I wish I knew you wanted me.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos of him fucking with the audience of like, they'll sing the verse and he's like, all right, next verse. And he's like, it's like, come on. Like,
right.
Because it's true, the soundbite is so pervasive that it overshadows everything.
Let me ask you about 2 things before I forget. You said Benny Blanco.
Yeah.
You co-wrote Lonely?
That's right.
unfucking real.
Thank you.
I mean, what?
That's great.
I looked that up this morning.
That was a great time.
That is an incredible song.
Thanks, man.
And Justin Bieber
Killed it.
makes it look so easy.
He killed it.
He's so smooth.
So talented.
And when you write that, are you in the room with him, or you send your part in, or what is it?
For that song, Benny and I sat and wrote it.
Yeah.
And gave it to him, but it was very bespoke. You know, it was.
What's bespoke mean?
Bespoke means like tailor-made, custom-made for the
it was written for
individual.
him.
Like that was not
good. I know what that
like
means.
I've written songs. This has happened a couple times. Like you write a song and it kind of is ambiguous, and you send it to your A&R and go like, "Do you want to give this to somebody?" Like, you know,
right.
That song was like Benny and I were like, "Let's write something for Justin."
Unreal.
Benny has a long history of making great music with Justin. I obviously had none, but I was excited about the opportunity. And yeah, it was just about, you know, and I don't, like, I was literally putting words in his mouth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he, I don't know that every line of that's how it feels, but like, I definitely was like.
Who came up with On God?
I don't think we say On God in that song.
Isn't it On God, running through the altar like a track star?
Oh, that's, you're singing Holy. Holy's a great song.
Oh, wait, what did you write?
Lonely.
Oh, fuck.
Close.
Fucked up.
I bet Holy he co-wrote.
Did the words On God and Lonely?
No.
Okay. So we're good.
That's very funny. Anyway, but
wait, doesn't he go, it's so lonely, lonely, lonely,
that's
lonely.
holy. You're being very funny. I
just fell off the stage doing
so
stand-up.
funny.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew. Guys, listen, hey, you know what it's like when you go in the bedroom and you don't really feel so good, you're not performing to your best? Well, that's what Blue Chew does, guys. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. And now they also have Vardenafol mint-flavored chewables with the active ingredient in Levitra and Staxin, so you can stay hard and fresh. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Isn't that nice? The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. If you think that you could use a little bit more confidence in the bedroom, I would definitely visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And don't forget, the special deal for our listeners, try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code GOODTHINGS at checkout and pay just $5 in shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code GOODTHINGS, all one word, to receive your first month free. Today's podcast is brought to you by NetSuite. Yes, 2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. One thing is certain. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. Guys, I don't have to tell you as a business owner how important it is to keep track of everything, keeping track of your financials, keeping track of your HR, of your entire team. Just the other day, I lost track of Jess. She was down at a bar in Encino in the middle of the day. I couldn't believe it. And that's what NetSuite does for you. It allows you to keep track of everything all in one place. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR planning, and budgeting so you can manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? If you're a business owner, you should definitely go check it out. Right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind special financing program. Head to netsuite.com/Nash right now. netsuite.com/Nash. That's netsuite.com/Nash.
Yeah, the line that Benny and I wrote was because I have everything but no one's listening, and that's just fucking lonely. And he changed it to I've had everything. And I was like, that's like, that to me was like all the difference.
Yeah.
Between I have everything and I've had everything.
Yeah.
So kind of like
It's jaded.
Just such a smart, like, I was like, no, that's what I was trying to say. Like, he said it so much better.
Right. I met Benny once.
Benny and I worked together a lot.
The first time I met him, we went to Charlie Puth's house.
Yeah.
And so I was like really excited. He's awesome, Charlie Puth. You know, it's like he's showing us how he has perfect pitch.
That's right.
And then this guy like, comes in all disheveled, fucking big afro. Charlie Puth's got a nice house, and he just like sits on the couch with like a burrito. And I was like, oh, that must be Charlie's like go-to guy. Like that's his pool boy. Or something, you know what I mean? Like that's the guy that
He's made like every hit song you've ever heard of.
Yeah, that's the guy who goes to Ralph's to get like Charlie what he needs, and then of course we find out it's fucking
the dawn of pop music.
Yeah,
I've learned so much from Benny, and I talk about this with anyone who'll listen. But like, so like when I started to write and produce for other people, I'd get in with an artist, and I wanted to be useful so bad. Like, not so much that like I had like an ego and wanted to come up with all the ideas. You know, you're sitting in a room trying to co-write a song. It wasn't so much that like I wanted to write everything. I just wanted them to think that I was like good, so they'd work with me again, kind of. You know what I mean? Like I had this feeling of like, if they sit there and they write the whole song and I just sit there.
Is this post-Billy or pre-Billy?
This is like early Billy. This is like first 18 months.
You start getting a lot of calls probably because you have this sound.
Yeah, but not from like huge artists, from like other people
like
that are
Ash.
Yeah, like random people that I'm like meeting and working with. Ash is incredible, but so I start doing these sessions and I so badly want to be useful. I want to just like be in the room and like be contributing. And I think that ultimately, I don't know if you polled the people, like if they'd say this was true, but like, you know, ultimately, like I probably got in the way of some good ideas just by like being too spitball-y. You know what I mean? Like an artist was probably trying to think about their life experience. This is like early days, trying to think like through like how to articulate themselves. And I'm like, what about this? What about this?
Sure,
what about this?
Too eager, yeah.
And it's like, you know, and I've now been in enough rooms with people that do that I know what it's like to be on the other side of that too. And so when I first worked with Benny's been a part of so many incredible songs that his approach is he's such a listener and a reactor. And I think when I first worked with him, like I didn't understand it at all because I was like, he's just sitting there.
That's what I thought when I was watching him with Charlie.
And I'll write a thing and he'll go like, yeah, I think the first part's good, but I don't think the second part's like good enough.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, my ego as a young producer was so kind of like, whatever, defensive maybe. And then over the years, like, Lonely is like such a great example of like, never would have made that song without Benny in the room. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like somebody just kind of like watching the process happen and being like, ooh, no. Like, and the chord, and what if the hook is just something like simple and we spit back and forth and one of us says Lonely and he's like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's got a discerning enough ear. It's on.
You could play it.
It's on.
You could play it if you want.
Yeah, but I am holding a microphone. I'd have to play.
We have a mic over there.
Anyway, it was just one of those things where it was like I learned a lot from Benny.
Yeah.
And I've tried over the years to incorporate that more and more with artists. Because
have you ever met Rick Rubin?
I have, yeah.
Why is he so good?
I think it's the same. Rick and Benny are to my knowledge also like dudes that can do it all. You know what I mean? Like if you said to Rick, you know, write and sit at the keyboard and produce this whole thing, he could do it. He did it for years. He did it with Run DMC and the Beastie Boys and
Jay-Z. Yeah,
Jay-Z and Benny too. Benny, like those early like Katy Perry records, and he did a lot of stuff with Spank Rock and he but like can do it all. So it's like it's there's no deficit. There's no like oh, they can't do it, so they just sort of direct. It's like they can do it. They're just choosing to be more of a guide and a listener and you know, sort of a backboard for the ideas.
That's the part that's confusing to me. It's like, how does he go from so many styles? How does he produce Jay-Z, but also produce Katy Perry, but also produce Kanye?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I don't know and get it.
Rick
I guess it's like a director in a way.
Yeah,
like
Rick is very philosophical and a real appreciator of music, and you know, I think it does take some an objective view to sometimes know. I feel like I feel like this every day. I write a song almost every day, and it's like
what?
Yeah,
Do you really?
I think most songwriters do, to be honest.
A full song.
Yeah, or like 3/4 of one, a verse, chorus, verse, whatever. But
Wow.
the
Do you walk around and record yourself and record things?
Not really. Yeah, it's audio sometimes or whatever.
Because you use sounds a lot in your
Mm-hmm.
things. What's a sound that you've recorded that you're like, wow, I can't believe this made it into this big record? In the doc, I see you recorded just matches.
Yeah, that
just
was cool.
A match strike.
That was cool. The match strike thing was cool. I like literal stuff. If there's like if the song is about being underwater, like I like doing stuff like that. But I do like the kind of more abstract world of it, of like some good texture that nobody would know and makes it in there.
Oh
It's really cool. Cool like bird sounds. And
so you talked a little bit about like them giving you, because this is what I think happened.
Yeah.
On my end,
Yes.
I see it and I go, oh, this guy and his sister fucking came up with a whole new sound that no one's ever heard before. It's like, it's everything everyone's listening to. And then they say, oh, we want you to work with other artists and stuff. And then they give you No Time to Die, right? So what was that like?
So yeah, I'll try to answer that in 3 parts.
Okay.
I think that I don't feel like we created like a whole new sound as much as we failed to sound like whoever we were trying to sound like.
Really?
There's a John Mayer quote that's like, originality is failing to sound like whoever you're trying to sound like.
Oh, so
which is a great
interesting.
observation.
Great.
And I think it's pretty true of kind of all art. It's like inspired by some artist and you try to paint like them, and it's like you do something different, and that's why it's unique.
Right.
So like there's a ton of great artists that like are huge influences on me. They're usually like unexpected, like somebody like My Chemical Romance. Like I wouldn't make the kind of music I make if it weren't for My Chemical Romance. But I don't make My Chemical Romance kind of music. But it's like that's a spice. That's a secret spice in the recipe. So we make all this music. It gets way more popular than we think it ever is going to get. Like, yeah, I mean, our expectations were so much less high. We were ambitious and we wanted to make something good, but like we didn't think we were. Like, again, it's like if we'd tried to make a #1 album and we'd tried to make a #1 song, like we wouldn't have made that album. We wouldn't have made Bad Guy. It's like a good example of like, unconventionality and the sort of exactly what we're talking about of like making something for the sake of it being popular. Not really what I'm interested in doing. I'd rather make something and have it not be popular, but I love it.
Yeah.
Or it gets popular accidentally than like make something just so it's popular and it either is or it isn't, but I don't like it either way. One of our goals forever, and it was always like pipe dreamy, was like, we're pretty insular. It's like Billy and I write and produce everything ourselves. And so we have A&R meetings. We have a great A&R named Sam Reback. John Janik at Interscope's great. Justin's great. We'll have these meetings a couple times a year of like, all right, what are you guys into? What should we do? What kind of outreach? Because most of the time we're just like sitting in my room making music. So it's not a lot for them to do on the A&R side of like setting us up with collaborators and whatever, which is a big part of the music industry. It's like introducing people. And we said pretty early on, find out if they're making another James Bond movie anytime soon.
You said that.
Oh, it was like a lifelong dream of mine.
Really?
I always wanted to do a James Bond theme. And I was like, see if they're making a James Bond movie. Anyone we can meet and tell that we love James Bond themes and the film.
Well, No Time
catalog.
to Die fits in great with you guys.
It does, yeah. And we were like, find out. So they did, and they were like, at shows throughout 2019, we'd kind of get these like, hey, we're bringing some people from MGM by to the show, and I was like, oh, awesome. Okay, we're bringing all right, Barbara Broccoli, the child heir to the Broccoli estate, who's like the head honcho producer of James Bond, like she's willing to come see your show in Ireland and talk to you guys. And we're like, cool. And so, yeah, we got given Barbara. This was all very much like an audition. Like there was no kind of like, congrats, like you got the gig. They're like, we'd love to see what you come up with. So they give us, Barbara goes, we can give you access to like the first like 20 pages of the script. And I'm like, great. She goes, it's right up to where the song comes in the movie. The song doesn't exist. So they give it to us. We're on tour in Texas for like a week doing the festival Austin City Limits. And we're like in green rooms. And they're like, if you want to submit something, because there's like a bunch of people submitting stuff.
Sure.
Like a bunch of like people that I think are super talented.
Yeah.
Like if you want to submit something, probably you should submit it in about 7 days. And we're like, okay. And we fuck around for a couple days on ideas, and nothing's feeling quite right. And then I started playing.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. You came up with this? This isn't Hans Zimmer. This is you? Unfucking.
And I was like, okay. And it was like almost immediate. Like once that existed, I was like, okay, this is going to be fine. And then, and here's the other thing. When we write songs, typically it's all sort of like lyric and melody simultaneously. Like, what would be a great lyric? Okay, let's figure out the melody for that line that we like, and sort of improvisational. For this, because of the nature of like the movies, and they almost always interpolate the melody of the theme throughout the score. Like, so like a melody that a singer is going to sing in this theme later, like a string suite is going to play. Mm-hmm. So it has to be very melodic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for this song, it was like every lyric was the melody happened first, which is very rare for us. Okay. But we were like, that's how it's going to go for this. So I remember like once we got to the chorus, which is, it's all just that kind of like it's all that melody, because we were like, that's going to sound really beautiful done by strings 2.5 hours later in the movie.
So you don't have any of the lyrics yet?
No, we just wanted to have the melodies right. And then we, just put lyrics to all that stuff.
When you guys write songs like that, are they first person?
That's a great question. And in this case, we chose to make it all first person. We chose to make it, even though Billie's singing it and she's not Daniel Craig and whatever, we were like, we're singing from the perspective of the
Is
person.
Bad Guy first person?
Yeah, Bad Guy's first person.
It is.
We write some third person, we write some narrative stuff, but most of the time it's like first person. But it's not our own experience all the time. I mean, James Bond certainly wasn't.
You weren't a secret agent?
No. Although it'd be a cool job.
In your bedroom where you and Billie made all those albums, was it ever smelly in there? Was there ever an Uncrustables sitting around? Anything like that? Did it ever get rank?
I was pretty tidy as a kid. I kept my room pretty clean.
It's tidy in the dock.
And
good for you.
Nobody ever, like, we didn't have like housekeepers or anything. So like that was just me. And I like a candle. I'm a candle guy. So it's like my place always smells pretty good. Yeah. I scent is like I'll spend a lot of money on fragrance, on perfume and candles.
Do you wear fragrance on your body?
I do, yeah.
You do? What do you like?
I wear a lot of Le Labo scents. I'd love to be, this is a funny, like goofy tangent, but like, when somebody has like a scent where you're like, or you smell it at the mall and you're like, that's Jessica, right?
Yeah.
I've always wished that I was that way, but I'm too interested in like fragrance. So like I wear different stuff all the time. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? You always
like I'll switch it up. Like I don't wear like like people often you're like, do you wear cologne?
Oh, I see.
And they either say no or they say yes, and they're like, I wear Chanel this. You know what I mean? Like they wear Chanel blue forever.
As you get older, you'll probably just pick one.
I'll just get lazier and lazier.
I think so.
Anyway, so yeah, I've kind of always wished that I had like a scent that was like the way that I smell and everyone knew it, but I'm too ADD.
You smell great.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to just go through a couple of things that really struck me. Okay, I love the song "Love Is Pain."
Thank you.
There's the line. Some of your writing your lyrics are so fucking good. They're
Thanks,
like
man.
Bob Dylan. This one gets
Love
me.
is pain.
That sinking feeling that you get when you say something you'll regret.
Say something you'll regret.
Because you were jealous of some stranger
that she met, and you were gone and feel insane. Love is pain.
Because love is pain.
Yep.
I'm going through that right now. It's tough. It's tough to like love somebody.
I think that being a fallible human being is a kind of an embarrassing experience in some ways, because I think if you're rational and you feel that way, like that line is that sinking feeling that you get when you say something you'll regret because you were jealous of some stranger that she met when you were gone, you feel insane. So that's like a big like story of my life in terms of like I'm always on tour.
Yes, that's how I.
And so it's like nobody's doing anything wrong. I'm away. Nobody's like gone out without. No one's like I'm going out and you're not invited. I'm just not home.
Yeah.
And somebody has a fun experience that they're super entitled to, and maybe I have like FOMO or whatever, and I'm jealous, you know.
Yeah.
And I think you have this kind of feeling of like, I know I shouldn't be, but I am. And I think that that's like, yeah, I've never felt entitled to envy or frustration. I've never felt super self-righteous, but I still do feel, whatever, jealous or left out or, you know, a heartache in ways that everybody does. But I always feel kind of embarrassed by it.
I guess if you weren't jealous, then you wouldn't be in love, right?
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I try to always be. I try to go love first. I try to be like, I really want this. I really love this person, so I want them to have the best day they can have. So why would I want to be jealous of them having a great time? You have to realize that it's much more about you. And like, I'm in a hotel room, eating crappy room service, and I wish I was there.
I love the song Till Forever Falls Apart.
Shout out to Ash on that one. She's so bomb.
It's very end of the world, that song.
Yeah, I mean...
Is that written over COVID?
Yeah, it was.
Remember when we all felt like, oh, we're all going to die?
Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I heard it.
She's a once-in-a-generation songwriter, in my opinion, and I think her stuff is going to age like wine. Like, I think she's going to be just as good. Like, the music that she makes now is going to be just as good 30 years from now.
Incredible.
But yeah, she asked me to be a part of that song. My favorite part about being on that song was that song is very romantic. But Ash and I are just like best friends.
Right.
And so I felt like this opportunity to write very honestly about how much I love her, and we're only friends. And so there was this kind of like that, whatever the line is, like, there's nothing more romantic than dying with your friends. So this is how it ends.
I guess there's nothing more romantic than dying with your friends.
Yeah, and I think that like, I just felt very lucky to have the actual bond with her that I do. Because I think if I'd been asked to co-write that song with a stranger, I probably would have just made it up. I would have just been like, I'm so in love with you, whatever. But it was like this person that I love super deeply, and we've now known each other for years, and, you know, through relationships and divorces and stuff. And
I think that's why it resonates with me.
Yeah.
Because when I think of it, I think about my friends here in LA.
Yep.
And I always want to say, you always want to say that to them, but they'll be like, shut the fuck up.
There's a really great song by Jensen McCrae called Immune, I think, that is all about getting vaccinated at Dodger Stadium. It's really great.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. And the chorus is, what will we say to each other when the needle goes in? And then what will we be to each other if the world doesn't end? Which was like very much so like the last 2 years, I think, was this kind of like everyone like, fuck it. And then it was like, hey, like we might actually as a species, like we might actually kind of make it through this thing. We can get back to climate change and whatever. And obviously a lot of people fucking died, but like broad spectrum species, human, like made it through it.
Moral of the story.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
Oh my God.
Unreal song.
So good.
Can you play it? Can you play it?
I can't play that one. I'd have to figure it out. I didn't write a word of that song. I just produced it with Noah Conrad, who's incredible. But that was to me, this is kind of funny. That was like right after Ash like signed the divorce papers of her marriage. And sometimes when people go through like tragedy or trauma like that, I'm like, probably gonna be a really good album. Like I know that's like super, opportunistic or something, but it's not so much that I'm like, ooh, like let's make something great. It's like they've got a lot to say. So if they're gonna say it, like this is gonna be powerful. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she played me Moral in like my car one day, and I remember just being like, thinking it was brilliant, and then having so many ideas. And a lot of the time I just tell people I think it's good. I don't try to like give a bunch of ideas, but I was like, oh my God, I hear this on it and I hear this thing. And then, so I ended up executive producing like the 2 EPs that she put out that year, sort of Moral of the Story Part 1 and Part 2, which are full of really good songs. And I remember Moral of the Story came out and didn't even get on like New Music Friday, like on Spotify. It wasn't playlisted at all. And I remember kind of having this feeling of like, the song's incredible. Like, what's going on? Like, this is great. This should be a huge song.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And so you just have to kind of be like, okay, well, I think it's incredible, but it isn't working. And a year later, it was in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before 2.
All the boys I've
that
loved
like
before.
Noah Centineo.
Noah Centineo.
Lana Condor. Lana Condor. Anyway,
is that the movie where he's like a teen gigolo or something? We watched Charlie and I watched some Netflix movie where Noah Centineo is like, this girl needs a date to the prom. And so she's like, yeah, call this guy. He'll come and be your date. And it's Noah Centineo, and he's good in it. Huh?
Which one is that?
What's that movie?
I think that's
Mike
called
in the Wayfarers of
no,
my
this is
camera?
fine.
We're good.
That movie's called Teen Gigolo, starring Noah Centineo. Anyway,
Sorry, go ahead.
but I remember she said to me like, "Yeah, I guess Moral's gonna be in To All the Boys too." And I remember thinking like, "Well, that's good news." And you never know what that means.
So
like,
a movie can push a song up?
Well, this is the thing. So I knew the first one was huge. You never know if the sequel is going to be as big. And then also when somebody syncs your song, sometimes it's like playing in the background of a scene at a bar. And it's like, it's there, but nobody knows. And you got like a paycheck because they used the song, but it's like, it's not an exposure tool. It's just sort of on. And I the day this movie comes out on Netflix, I'm like, let's see where it is. I skip to where it is. And it's like a huge montage, and the lead girl in the movie sings the song, like lip syncs the song. And I called her and I was like, this is going to change your life. Like, I remember being like, you don't understand. Like, this is tomorrow's going to be a different career for you.
So cool.
And it was like overnight, and she, could suddenly sell out venues twice the size. It was pretty awesome. And what was so validating, and it changed, not that I wasn't necessarily doing this, but like, it reaffirmed to me that like a good song is a good song is a good song, and like release week, like the day the song comes out, if it doesn't blow up, does not mean you should discount a song a year from then because it didn't blow up. It's like, it's just kind of an exposure, like recognition tool. All these people watching that movie, it's like they would have liked the song a year ago when they heard it, but like it wasn't exposed to them. They didn't get served it. So it really changed the way I thought about it.
Okay, here we go. There's some other things I need to tell you.
Okay.
Okay, Break My Heart Again.
Yes.
Did you? So go ahead and break my heart again. Leave me wondering why the hell I ever let you in. You're the definition of insanity, or am I? Oh, it must be nice to love someone who lets you break them twice. That's like so fucking crazy.
Thanks, man.
Did you have your heart broken?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm like a serial, like monogamous heartbreak junkie person. Like I feel everything way too deeply.
Really?
Yeah. And so that song was about the first person I ever felt like I was in love with was when I was like 13. So take that as you will. I don't know how deep it was at 13, but it felt very deep at 13.
So was the person bad to you and you let them back in?
Wasn't so much that they were bad to me as we were just like really young and, didn't work out because we were was like not 13, adults. Yeah. And then I was 18 and we like reconnected over the summer.
Oh, so that's the twice.
While they were home from college, and we started dating again, and it was pretty great. And then it did invariably like start to kind of fall apart. And I was like, I remember like driving home one day and the chorus being like on the drive home, being like, oh, like I know.
So it just comes to you.
Yeah, I mean, and that song was just like making it rhyme. That was like just what was happening to me.
Bob Dylan said that. He said, I saw an interview with him later in his life, and he goes, oh, all the songs I wrote, they don't come to me anymore. He goes, they all came. He would say, I didn't write them. That's what he said.
Yeah, they came through me.
Yeah.
Have
you ever heard him say that?
I haven't, but that is a pretty common like refrain for songwriters that sort of like happens to you. And
does that happen to you?
Yeah, not always. And I'm also like, I'm a big advocate for like the puzzling through stuff. I try to like it's not always easy, and I try not to pretend it's always easy. Like I've written stuff I think is great by working really hard. So
yes.
like flying out.
Just working at it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. One more thing.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi.
Oh, cool.
You have a song with Kid Cudi that is 37 seconds long, and it hit the Billboard Hot 100. Is that true?
That sounds like it might be true. Here's what happened. Cudi is so nice.
Yeah.
I get put in touch with him somehow, and this was during COVID, and he was just super generous and asked me to come by and kind of like listen to his album, and I brought my laptop, and we just sort of like listened through the album, and I thought it was really good. This was Man on the Moon 3.
Right.
His producer on that record, probably a couple people, but his primary producer is this guy Dot the Genius, who's really talented. Production was really good, and so it was just about kind of like adding a little like textural stuff, like some synths on top, and I think like stuff I did on 2 of the songs maybe made it. But that was like I love little things that are like just being involved in. Like I wouldn't have like that was not a wasted day if none of that stuff ever like happened on that
just
album.
To go sit
it was
with
just
Kid
cool.
Cudi and absorb
and like hear his album and talk to him about music and get hotboxed. I got super hotboxed that day. Like,
did you get a contact high?
The studio was like half the size of this room.
I don't believe in contact high. I don't think that exists.
I was so stoned. Like,
really?
Yeah, they're smoking a joint and they're like passing it like across my body, like like here, you know.
Yeah.
And they were smoking all day.
Yeah.
You know, do your thing. But I was like not smoking that day. I've actually never smoked weed, but I anyway.
I wasn't smoking that day or any day
or ever. Anyway, but they're like passing it, and I remember getting home and like having like looking in the mirror and having like very red eyes, and Claudia being like, "You're so stoned." Like, so in a small enough room with enough weed.
I don't understand how people smoke pot all day.
Tolerance, right? They must just get a crazy tolerance to it.
I guess I don't know how they function. I mean, I don't know.
They were you know, they were deep in it, having complex conversations with me about music production and philosophical, you know, debate. It was fascinating. I was like, you guys should be catatonic right now, and they're, you know, not at all.
He's really regarded as like top, like in terms of rappers that like are respected by the industry, right? Kid Cudi.
I think that at least in my view, like he did what I think people accredit Billy and I with a little bit, which I don't give us credit for, but like whatever rules were in place, like he was like breaking them. Like songs like Pursuit of Happiness to me were like the fact that he was like singing the whole time, and that I think that song is co-produced by MGMT, which is like the coolest idea to have those guys do that. So like yeah, he's like a what do they call him? Like a disruptor.
Yeah.
Anyway, is it okay if I use the bathroom really quickly?
Go ahead.
Where is it? Super far.
Just right upstairs.
Okay.
Guys, today's podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. What a wonderful company, what a wonderful app. It is the only ticketing app that I use. SeatGeek is an app that allows you to buy tickets to sporting events, to live concerts, to the opera, to live theater. I've seen Hamilton through SeatGeek. I've taken my dad to see the Celtics through SeatGeek. It is a crazy, crazy great app, and right now there's an incredible offer that we offer here every week when we have SeatGeek here. What that is you get $20 off your first order when you use my code Jason. So all you have to do is go to SeatGeek.com, put in my code Jason, Jason, and you're going to get $20 off your first order. I mean, that's incredible. What a deal. We recently saw Harry Styles. He was fantastic. We saw him at the Forum. We got our tickets right through SeatGeek, had them right on the app, 4 tickets. Opened the app right when I walked in, scanned the tickets, go right in, no problem. Didn't have to print them, anything. And of course, we got great seats thanks to SeatGeek. And you can too. So go download the app today. Go download the SeatGeek app and enter my code Jason, and you'll get $20 off your first order when you use my code Jason. So, and my thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring this podcast. And now back to the show. I think this is an insane lyric to write when you're 14 or even when you're 21. You guys wrote "Bad Guy."
I didn't. Well, yes.
Did she write this or you?
Let's find out.
So you're a tough guy, like it really rough guy, just can't get enough guy, chest always so puffed guy.
Yeah.
It's a badass song. These are badass lyrics.
Such a fun song to write. We were just
Wait,
having fun.
I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad tight.
Right.
Which is kind of sexual.
Yeah, I mean tight like in the like
or uptight.
Yeah, it's like yes.
I mean it could be taken either way. And then the last line, might seduce your dad type.
Wow, funny, right?
Fucking great. Like so badass.
Yeah, that was like vulgar Dr. Seuss. Like
yeah.
Super fun to write. Yeah.
And where does she get that from? Where you guys just...
We were just going one for one on that. We were just like, what's the next... Like, we were just like, you know, like if you and I were sitting here coming up with the next line in that sequence.
Can we come up with a song? This is my one... I think that's why I put the piano here today, is because it's like...
Let's write a song. Yeah. No, that was so fun to make.
Cool. Split the publishing 50-50 or...
Wow, that's how it works. Yeah.
You know when people say that the money is all in the... You don't have to give me figures, but when they say the money's all in the publishing... in music, what does that mean? Don't you get paid like two ways or something? You get paid for the writing and the recording or something?
The money's not in touring.
It's not.
Not if you want to pay your crew well and put on a good show.
Well, we went and saw Harry Styles last week.
Right.
I surprised Jess for whatever and for a video.
What was it? Oh,
for a video.
A reaction.
Yeah, a reaction.
Was it your birthday or something? Not even.
Great reaction.
Cool. He puts on a great show.
It was an awesome show, but we were trying to put together how much money if he played the Forum 19 times, right? What is that? How much is that a night?
Well, so here's the deal, right? This is I don't know any of the specifics on Harry, so
right.
I can't guarantee this, but like when you hear so like multiple nights in the same place,
yep.
generally advantageous financially because
right.
you're not having to tear down and set up.
Yep.
If you're doing what Harry's doing, just like so many shows, you can't do them every night consecutively because you'll die. Like your voice will give out. And so you do like 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. The Forum's a venue, so they're putting other shows in. So they're still having to tear down his show, take it out of the venue, and then rebuild it like every couple days, which is so much work for them. So it's like it's the nicest for Harry, who doesn't have to travel around. He's like in LA doing all these shows, and he's done like he did Chicago, Texas. I think what did he do? Austin or MSG, but in Texas he did like some city. I forget which one. Anyway, so it's like nice for him because he gets these kind of residencies, but they still do have to tear it down and put it back.
So go back to what you were saying. The money is not in touring.
Not really. Not if you're like you could like not if you're like if especially not in like a pop stars tour because they're making a lot of money on merch and stuff, but like the expectations of pop star production are so high now. I mean, Harry Styles is like a good example. He's in the round. He's got like the screens all around him. He's got the Ace band, whatever, and then you go on to like somebody like The Weeknd who's playing these arenas with like flames and 45 dancers and all this insane stuff and a huge band. It's like it's just really expensive to put on a show like that. Yeah. And then there's just fucking travel costs are insane right now. Like, you know, transport costs, literally flying your crew everywhere. It's like just a fortune.
And we know that there's no money in the downloading, obviously, anymore.
There's totally money in Spotify and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's not money. There's not like cocaine in the 80s money. You know what I mean? Like they're like when you talk to like moguls from the 80s, they're like it's grotesque. You know what I mean? They're like, my car was gold. Like my car shot gasoline out the back. It was propelled off a jet of gasoline. And you're like, what the fuck? What were you on in the 80s?
You're like Don Simpson,
Yeah. So there's maybe not that, but like there's plenty of money to be made. And it's also like to me, I philosophically my whole thing about so like I was a LimeWire child.
Oh, I remember LimeWire.
Yeah. And I was a uTorrent child.
And what child?
uTorrent.
uTorrent, yeah.
For music. And you know why? Because it was so easy. It was like, you know, you press a button and you're like, oh, the entire Led Zeppelin catalog is like suddenly on your iPod. And I remember when Spotify's beta came out in 2011, I remember it being like, this is way easier. Like, this is so much easier than torrenting music.
Yeah.
Torrenting, you go to a website, you go to a downloader, you load from the downloader onto your, like it's in your downloads in a folder and you put it in your iTunes, like many steps. And Spotify's like an app on your phone, every song you've ever wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking like, oh, this is gonna kill all of music piracy, and it did. And like, yeah, it's paying like whatever it is. It's like
pennies,
a 0.01 or something. But the stream equivalents are insane. Like no albums are regularly selling billions of copies. You know what I mean? Albums will go multi-platinum, sell 1 million. Like Billie has several songs with billions of stream. You know what I mean? So it's so exponentially different that it's like it kind of equivocates in some way. Mm-hmm. But yes, so I've heard about the 80s that there was even more money.
And in terms of when you write a song,
yes,
you do get paid for the publishing when they say that. Because I've heard you get paid for two ways. Isn't there two sides of a song that you
publishing
get paid on?
and songwriting?
What's the difference?
You'd have to have my attorney explain them to you. Yeah, and then as a producer, you get a master fee, like for the song production, like sort of a one-time fee, and then you negotiate like points on a river.
I see.
So like, but that's kind of like the equivalent of a painting or something. Like you buy it from the person. Right. You know what I mean?
And so, what are you doing like right now? Like through the holidays, you're going on tour again. You're going to be gone. You're going to Australia, right?
Yeah. So right now we're in the first. I'd say we're in the first third of making Billie's third album, which is really fun.
I read that today that you're making that.
Yeah, she went public with it.
Yeah, I saw it on Rolling Stone. Yeah,
it's so fun. We're in the like nuggets of stuff portion of it. Like
where does
coming
that
up
happen?
with
in a studio.
Yeah, I have a home studio.
Home studio.
Yeah, we're just making stuff and
so cool.
and being very experimental. She's being very. I say this in like the most positive way. Like she's being very reckless and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the worst way to make an album is to be afraid while you make it, to be like, what if people don't like it? That's probably the most debilitating. And I think if you really want to make a great album, you have to just make stuff that you love and then worry about all that other stuff near the end.
And is your relationship the same as it was in the doc, or is it different now? Like I remember in the doc there was a great moment where she's like, she's like, I'm not good.
She's better and better. I thought she was.
Trust me, you're good.
I thought she was good then, but she's more and more confident.
Yeah.
And more prolific, and faster.
Than
she ever was. I mean, so like first album, everything was a co-write except When the Party's Over and Strange Addiction, which I wrote alone and then presented to her.
Yes.
Album 2, Happier Than Ever, like everything was 50-50 co-write. So like we might bring each other in. Like I brought in like the hook, Try Not to Abuse Your Power, and then we wrote the song, and she brought in the hook of My Future, and we wrote it together. But like everything we were both working on.
You can tell that when you listen to it. When you listen to the first album, you're like, oh, these guys have a crazy new sound that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
And then you go to the second album, and you're like,
way evolved.
Oh shit, they've mastered it.
That's great. So sweet.
They've mastered the sound.
So sweet of you.
Of the first album, and
it was very important to not try to remake the first record too. To like make a very different album. So the third album, seems to so far be super collaborative, and to be honest, like I think we're on this album or the next album there'll probably be songs that she writes without me, and I hopefully get to produce them. But like she's a bigger and bigger force as a writer, in my opinion, which is super sick. So I'm working with her. I'm producing and writing a lot with an artist named Lexi Jade, who's really great. And then Benny and I are working on some stuff. And then I've got some more like film, TV scoring stuff, which is...
You're doing something for Pixar, right?
Pixar we did. I did that Turning Red movie with Billie, which was so fun.
Yeah.
So that was a blast.
And what do you do what do you do with your girlfriend? What do you do with Claudia? You just
for fun?
Yeah.
We love like hosting. We'll do like, have friends over, make them dinner.
I've heard already there's a major Christmas party that happens. And I've had a few friends that have popped in there, and they said that's very sweet. Fantastic.
We did have a really good Christmas party last year. It was really good.
We're having a roast the same night as your Christmas party.
Of who?
We're roasting.
Oh my God, fun.
Yeah. So there's already talk of problems. that people can't go to both? I'm not going to say any names.
I think yours is they went to mine last year. Last year we had our Christmas party like arguably the day where we probably shouldn't have because it was like Omicron had already like so our it was I got kind of blasted for this. Fair enough, but like it was like the day of. It was like almost too late to cancel it. You know what I mean? Like it was like our kitchen was like full of food, you know. Yeah. And I was like, but I don't want to make anyone feel unsafe. So I sent a text to everybody that was like, obviously don't come if you don't feel safe. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. But we're going to test everyone when they arrive. Yeah. All of them. Yeah. And we did. And nobody tested positive. Great. And there was never like I checked in with everybody like the days following and there was no like outbreak from our party or anything.
You following up. Very good.
Yeah, because it was important to me. I was like, if we're going to do this, I don't want it to be like, we all got fucking COVID at his party, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was important.
Do you want to have kids someday?
So bad.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's your like, I have a pit bull.
Yeah, I've seen her. I've seen her in the
and I love my dog. Yeah. And my friends are like, I want to get a dog. And I'm like, don't get a pit bull. And I love my dog, but she's so much work. It's crazy. Yeah. She's like so high maintenance. Yeah. So that's like I'm usually like, do you have how much time do you have to devote to the like do you have is your relationship with kids a little like that where you're like best thing that ever happened to me, so much work, like wait.
Yeah, like it's the best thing you'll ever do.
Yeah, I can't wait. How old were you?
I mean, I haven't won 8 Grammys, but
I like the idea of my kids being like, am I the best thing that ever happened to you, and me being like, look at my shelf. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't name you Oscar. How old were you when you had Owen? Sorry, Wyatt.
Wyatt. I was 30. He's 16. I'm 49. I was 33.
Early 30s, like when I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I got a couple years.
Okay, so can you play us something?
Jesus Christ.
I would just love it so much. You know, because let me tell you why. I never was able to play music. And so you have to consider me. You know, I've been deprived my whole life. I don't have that talent.
Right.
And so I would just love to just
Sure.
I just fucking I just think it's so great. You know,
I'll do a little bit of the I'll do the Love Is Pain one that you're talking about.
Great.
You got this mic? Do we need it closer?
And again, you don't have to play the whole song.
No, I'll play some of it.
Play a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? 2 songs of yours. 2 songs of yours, and then 3 samples from Billy's songs. Like just little things. Like just do Bad Guy. Like just a little bit. Come on, man, I'm dying. Did I tell you I'm dying?
Say it's not enough to be in love. You need to prove it somehow. It's not dollar signs or pickup lines or anything that you could kiss away now. That sinking feeling that you get when you say something you regret, 'cause you were jealous of some stranger that she met when you were gone, and you feel insane, 'cause love is pain. Say it's not okay to feel that way. It's real. You may not make her happy. So what's wrong with me if honestly I wanna be the only way she can be? That hollow feeling in your chest as you both wordlessly undress after a fight. It's getting late and you tried your best until she cried and you're to blame. And love is pain. Don't believe anyone who tells you any different. If it's easy, if it's fun, something's missing. There's this dream I've had about mom and dad. Makes me so sad that I wake up crying. Can't believe I'll have to live through that. Wish it wasn't mandatory dying. Go through life, we play pretend, act like it doesn't have to end. It's all alright until your friend runs a red light. You watched his car burst into flames, and love is pain.
Thanks, Jason.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't done that song in like a year and a half. I was like, see if I remember all these. I had a very active brain during that of like, see if I can come up with these lines.
You remembered it. Do you ever write a song and you go, and you hear from somebody? Like, yo, I know that's about me or something, or...
Yeah, I try to be upfront.
You call them, you say, hey, you should know that I wrote this song about you.
Yeah, I try to tell them.
You
like,
do?
Yeah, like this is a song. Sure. You get it. I'm loud. It'll sound good.
Are we hearing it first?
Yeah, it'll sound good. All right, so this is one I wrote about my best friend who.
So fun.
So we stopped talking for a while, and I wrote this, and now we're best friends again.
Okay.
But I was like, hey, I did write this about you. So.
Really?
I lost a friend, like keys in a sofa, like a wallet in the backseat, like ice in the summer heat. I lost a friend, like sleep on a red eye, like money on a bad bed, like time worrying about every bad thing that hasn't happened yet. I know I'll be alright, but I'm not tonight. I'll be lying awake, counting all the mistakes I've made, replaying fights. I know I'll be alright, but I'm not tonight. I lost a friend, I lost a friend, I lost my mind. And nobody believes me, they say I know that he don't need me. Made a little too much money to be 20 and sad. I'll be fine without him, but all I'll do is riot about him. How the hell did I lose a friend I never had? Never had. I'm on the mend, like I'm wearing a neck brace, like I'm sleeping at my own place, like I'm pulling all the stitches out of my own face. I'm on the mend, like I'm icing a new sprain, like I'm walking on a new cane, like it's been a couple hours since I slipped and said something sort of like your name. I know I'll be alright, but I'm not tonight. I've been lying awake, counting all the mistakes I've made and replaying fights. I know I'll be alright, but I'm not tonight. And I'm on the mend, but I lost a friend, I lost my mind. And nobody believes me, say I know that he doesn't need me. Cause he made a little too much money to be 20 and sad. And I'll be fine without him, but all I do is riot about him. How the hell did I lose a friend I never had? Never had.
Yeah, bro. That's
Thanks, man.
Fucking A.
Thanks, bro.
God damn. So you called a friend before you wrote that and said, "Hey, this is about you." Oh no.
I called him. I was like, "This is coming out in 3 days."
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did they say?
I asked for forgiveness. You know what I mean? Well, not like I wasn't like, "Is it okay if I write a song about you?" I was like, "I've written it about you. It's coming out.
Yeah.
I don't say your name in it. I don't ever have to talk about it being about you if you don't want."
Yeah.
But here it is.
Are they okay with it?
Yeah, I think they were, and
flattered.
I didn't want to leave it up to speculation. I wanted to be like, "This is about you, obviously."
Look at you. You do everything right. You call people. You let them know the song. You test people at the door for Omicron. You call the next day. You're even kind to the people at Kaiser Permanente.
They don't deserve it so much, but they're doing their job. Oh, one guy was wheeling me around at Kaiser Permanente, and I said, "If you got in an accident, would you come here?" And he said, "No." How crazy is that? I forgot that. I was literally on the gurney, and I was like, "If you got in an accident, would you come here?" And he goes, "Probably not." That's so crazy. Can you imagine, any version of that? You're like on a set for a movie, and they're like, "If you were the writer of this movie, would you hire you to act in it?" And you were like, "No." That's crazy.
Yeah, I've had a bad experience at Kaiser. But,
every person I've said I went to Kaiser has been like, they've all done that. They've all sharp intake of breath. Ooh. I was like, how come nobody told me this the day before my injury?
Right. Is it fun to go to the Grammys?
Super fun to go to the Grammys.
Yeah.
I will say this about the Grammys.
The outfits are crazy good.
So cool.
So good.
The show is great. The
show's always great.
We lost everything this year. Like, we didn't win anything we were nominated for this year, and it was the most fun I've ever had at the Grammys.
Yeah, right. Takes the pressure off.
Well, that, but also it was like my point is just like, it was such a great show. It didn't matter that we weren't like winning, They always do those cool collabs. They do, and this year Silk Sonic opened.
Yeah.
And like, I just love Silk Sonic, so it was like so fun. I'll say this, like, winning Grammys, I never really thought I'd do that. And then once I was nominated, I was like, ooh, I really want to win these.
Yeah.
And then we did. Yeah. And that's enough for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't need to go win them again.
I agree.
So,
I think you have enough.
I don't.
Many.
I didn't even feel that way the second year. I was like, I don't think we need to win anymore. And we did.
Yeah.
But and it's like, it's an honor to be nominated. It would still be an honor to win if we ever won again. I would not pretend it wouldn't be, but it's like, I'll be happy for the rest of my life to either not be nominated or to be nominated and lose to other music I like who haven't won Grammys yet.
What's the difference between the Oscars and the Grammys going to the show?
The Grammys are the Grammys are full of musicians who are like the most disobedient group of people ever. Everybody's like drinking and walking around, and they're like, "We're back in 30 seconds," and nobody's sitting down, and everybody's like talking and like having a crazy time, and they're like 5, 4, and nobody's sitting down, and so they come back from commercial, and Trevor Noah's up there like, "Welcome back to the Grammys," and they like pan over to the seats, and everybody's like trying to find and they've forgotten completely. Right. And the Oscars are actors who are you know what actors are? Employees. That's how being an actor on set works. And so they're like, "We're back in 2 minutes," and everyone's like it's such a machine.
Yep.
In a positive, like, everyone takes it so seriously.
And you played the live broadcast on both of them, right?
Yeah.
And
that was stressful.
What's that like? You just must have shit your pants.
We did in 2020. We did a cover of Yesterday for the In Memoriam, which was so terrifying. I mean, that is the most nerve-wracking room to play for.
What's In Memoriam?
In Memoriam is like where they read all the people who've passed away that year.
Of course, everybody who died.
And then this past year we did No Time to Die.
Yep.
And I'm so glad we had done it a couple years ago, because we just had that kind of like, the jitters were gone.
Uh-huh.
But it's still, so, everyone in that room is like the most famous person you've ever seen. So you're like, it's like a lot of the time in the audience, you're like, maybe you see like, at a show, you might see like your girlfriend or your parent or something up in the balcony. You're like, I'll look at a stranger, because it's like a little more like, it's a little less intimate, kind of have a moment with a stranger, and it's cool. The Oscars, you're like, whoa, like it's all just like, any celebrity you can think of.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, it's anyone.
In front of you.
Exactly.
And everybody.
Yeah.
20 celebrities.
50. It's crazy. It's like so intense.
You get nervous when you play shows?
No, almost never. For stuff like that, yeah. For stuff like that, Coachella, big sort of like one-off opportunities that are like, if you blow it, you blow it. But normally shows are like, you're like, I got another one tomorrow. Who cares?
Okay, this is the last thing we'll do, and then we'll let you go. This is just Wyatt's questions that he had for you.
Yeah. Let's do it.
How-to tutorial for bedroom pop.
Cute. You know, he's doing it right.
He's doing it right. Cool gear. Got any cool gear for him?
Ooh, does he play guitar or just keys?
He plays guitar, yeah. That's
I just got a thing called a Kemper. That's great.
A Kemper.
He'll know what that is.
Look it up.
Kemper's cool.
Kemper. Okay. How to time management, because he's a busy dude.
Well,
he wrote these in between periods.
Wyatt is a busy dude too. Time management's hard, man. I try to come up with goals that have to be done that day. So like, yeah, do I feel better if I make my bed that day and if I take my dog on a really long walk that day? For sure. But like, I don't really have to do them. So it's like, if I have something pressing, maybe I'll do that first. And then I'll be like, hey, I did the thing that I had to get done today. So now I can go on the dog walk and whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes our brains are very like, our procrastination thing is like.
What time do you wake up?
Lately like 9, 8.
That's pretty good.
8, 9.
You work out?
Yeah. That's been the
working out.
I do apps that have like, you log your stuff every day and they update your weight and your rep.
You do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Now I have a PT because I, have to recover from my here's my big surgery.
Can I say? Oh, no way, bro.
Pretty good, right?
You should come to the Zila gym when you're better.
Aren't you all like shredded now?
I'm shredded now.
What did you do to HGH? What happened?
I stopped eating.
Yeah, did you? I mean, are you like super rigid? Like, do you now like eat like a very small, limited amount?
I have a turkey burger for lunch
every day.
Yeah, and nothing else, and sugar-free ketchup.
Nothing for breakfast, nothing for dinner.
Nothing for breakfast. Oh no, and dinner. I have a reasonable dinner.
Okay, so you have like dinner and
dinner.
a late lunch, no breakfast.
No breakfast.
Do you work out before you eat?
Yep. Work
Okay.
On an empty stomach.
Fascinating.
And fast from 10 p.m.
to noon.
3 o'clock.
Till 3. So you're not eating lunch till 3. So you did the whole intermittent fasting and everything.
Yeah.
Look at you. You look so great.
Thank you. I'm finally at this weight, and I still hate myself. So it's
Somebody told you wouldn't? Somebody told you.
Isn't that funny?
Somebody told you getting skinny would
Isn't
make you
that
not
funny?
hate yourself?
Someone told me I would. Someone's like, "You'll love yourself."
Dude, you're gonna love yourself. You ever talked to a bodybuilder? Oh my god. Those guys look like Optimus Prime, and they're like, I fucking hate myself. It's crazy.
Pretty happy. I guess so. It depends. I'm pretty. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I am happier this weight because I can get up the stairs and stuff. Before I was 226. I was heavy.
That's heavy.
It's heavy.
You're tall though. You're not like.
No.
Aren't you like 6'1"?
I lie about it. 5'11". Here we go. Networking, producing people. I don't know why. What does that mean?
That's a good question. It is. It is.
I don't understand the question.
Well, like your Wyatt. What is he? 16?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, whatever career he may have is like still a couple years away, really. Yep. But it's a good question. I always encourage people to just be a good hang. Just be chill. If you're in the room, like who would I rather work with? The best guitarist I've ever met, who's kind of a pain in the ass, or like the really nice dude who I like hanging out with, who's like a pretty good guitarist.
Yeah.
That guy.
Interesting. I like that. Could you ask about the future of scoring and the process of writing songs for films like Bond and Pixar?
Dude, cool. Scoring is a big endeavor. It's very collaborative. I've done the 2 movies I did alone in terms of like composition. I was the only guy, and it was too much work for one person, in my opinion. So I'm going to be very collaborative in the future. It's just it's such a heavy load. It's like 45, 50 different compositions, and the time frame is short.
For a movie, you're saying.
Yeah, and then there's so many notes from director or producers, which are fine, but it's just like the management of all of it is really aggressive. So I'm going to be very collaborative.
That's what he wants to do. He wants to score.
Well, he'd probably be great at it.
Yeah. What's your bagel order?
Great question. Actually, this is actually a question. There's a place called Bell's Bagels in Highland Park. I get what they call the North of York, avocado, cashew schmear, radish, pickled onion, spez hot sauce, and cucumber.
Oh, wow.
It's really good.
This is a question from his friend Finn.
Cool.
What's your favorite dinosaur, and do you have a tattoo of it? Sorry. I can't believe I'm wasting a Grammy winner's time like that. No, actually, I apologize to the audience, and I apologize to you.
My favorite dinosaur. I never think about dinosaurs. I
don't know why they asked that.
Not since I turned like 8 have I thought about dinosaurs. And no, I don't have any tattoos. I'm not a big fan of pain, and I'm not a big fan of permanent things.
Yeah.
Puts me in a bad place for tats.
I have 3 tattoos, and I regret them all.
That's cool that you have tattoos, though.
No, it's not at all. They got them for YouTube videos. They're like the least cool
Christ.
things. They were all like dares. I think I have penis on my mouth. Hold on. Is this still there?
Wow.
Does this say penis?
Brian says it's still there. That looks... Jesus Christ, Jason.
It was supposed to go away.
How long ago?
That was like 5 years ago.
Holy shit.
The guy goes, oh, yeah, don't worry. Inside the mouth, it doesn't stay. And I go, all
Jason's
right.
skin is... Jason's like, the cool thing about me is my skin does not regenerate. Mine stays. Jason's got a baseball glove.
Listen, you find yourself on Vine at the age of 42, and you got to do what you got to do to send your kids to the nice schools.
Yeah. I won't say the name. Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Okay, this is, and then I must go.
Yeah, you got to go.
Okay, when I was in high school trying to fund my like music production career, because I made no money from music until I was like 19 or 20. I was like auditioning for stuff all the time, and I did a voiceover. You know that like those movies, Walking with Dinosaurs. They're like informational kind of like pseudo like CGI movies that sort of teach kids about like dinosaurs. And so I was the voiceover for like the dinosaur guide for a Walking with Dinosaurs. So in terms of your son's friend Finn's question, there was a brief time where I knew so much about ornithopods in the late Cretaceous period I was like an aficionado,
right?
And then almost immediately it was like and like because you know what I'm not doing, talking to people about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we know everything is we talk to our friends about it. Nobody wanted to hear about whatever the fuck the dinosaurs were called.
Really
but
funny.
Yeah. Oh, my one memory from that was that a lot of like what we think of as dinosaurs from the skeletons, whatever, and a lot of people have debunked this, is like how different a skeletal structure looks from like the outside of the body. And so like people love to like show you like a penguin skeleton and be like, come on, like no way we would have been able to figure out how a penguin looked from a penguin skeleton because it's just like a spine. And the craziest thing was like this sort of, they're not called Tyrannosaurus, but a pterodactyl. It's like a type of pterodactyl with a different name, and like the CGI renders of it look pretty much like a pterodactyl.
Yeah.
And this one was like, we think they were probably covered in fur. And I was like, oh my God. Like just the idea of like a huge like furry bird. Cool.
Yeah. I've seen that with dinosaurs. You can't tell the bones. There are no bones.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Great to be here, Jason. Thanks so much for having me.
You guys, go check out Finneas. Go to his website. We'll leave a link. Go just appreciate him. Leave a nice comment. Tell him how thankful we are that he came here today.
And special thanks to Wyatt for setting up the Nord.
Yeah, thanks to Wyatt.
I appreciate you.
Setting up the Nord. Finneas, thank you so much. You're the best. See you next time. Bye. Today's podcast has been brought to you by Tommy John Underwear. Go to TommyJohn.com/Nash right now for 20% off your first order. 20% off at TommyJohn.com/Nash. That's TommyJohn.com/Nash. See site for details.